Well, a lot going on at Georgia. Tons of recruiting right now, more than anything this weekend. The Dogs are trying to get ready for a big matchup with Michigan, which is in about 3.5 weeks. Talked with some insiders over the weekend, obviously. I wanted to touch on one thing that someone said to me, and it's pretty obvious, but the statement was Kirby's got 3 weeks to get this team ready, and will he do it? Will he do it is my addition. Because I think that's the question for everybody, including Nick Saban, uh, Luke Fickell, and Jim Harbaugh. You've got a stretch of time here that you're going to have to manage that's a tricky one. Signing day is a week from today when I'm recording this, so it's on the 15th, and that's as crucial a day as any in college football. And to be in the midst of all four of these teams played conference championships. That means last week they were not out recruiting. All four of these teams are getting ready for the playoff. I don't know if everyone's in finals right now, but I suspect that Alabama is, as well as Georgia, and I think the bulk of these teams that are on the semester system. So it's a difficult time right now. One thing that Kirby laid out Sunday was that this is going to be a competition, a 3 week competition to get right before that first game. And there's a lot of tinkering that can be done. I think the biggest thing at Georgia, more than anything else, is getting healthy in the right spots. Guys like Chris Smith, that him being on the field in a healthy way would matter dramatically. Getting George Pickens closer to 100%, he's obviously not at 100%. And the thing I think folks are missing is that a lot of this stuff takes time to do. It's a bit like investing. Just because you put $1,000, $2,000 in the market doesn't mean it's going to return, ten to $20,000 in a couple of weeks. You need time to get where you're going. And for George, he can't really. Chris Smith's in a different boat, but for George, um, to his first, I mean, he's played 2 games and had 2 catches, I think, maybe 3 total. But the one long catch against Alabama was a ball that would be tough for people to deal with. But George is not himself quite yet. George is not what he was against Missouri a season ago, or against Auburn a year ago, or against Cincinnati a year ago. He's not the same person. Will he be that? Doesn't seem like it completely, but he can get a lot closer in a 3.5 week period of time. There's going to be more reps that he gets, etc. But this is a stressful time for everyone involved. I mean, Georgia, Bama are fighting Texas A&M for the number one spot in the recruiting rankings. It's a very good year so far for the Aggies. Uh, you know that's what we're running up against here. We've got the final week of recruiting, the weekend, excuse me, weekend of recruiting, and then it culminates with Wednesday. So that's the part here that we're really going to monitor. There's not going to be really much in the way of team activities until later in the week. Those won't be open to media. I can't imagine right now. There will be mandated practices that are open to the media once we get to Miami and Alabama and Cincinnati get to Dallas area, but those won't be the case immediately here. So we won't necessarily get a peek into things. Georgia's players have been lifting, getting their conditioning in, as well as one thing that was really important, I think, that Kirby talked about earlier this week. And all these sorts of details are things that we talk about over on dogpost.com, dawgpost.com. If you are one of the few people who has not taken advantage of the offer down below, it's $2 for 2 months. $2 is a great Christmas gift to give someone. Um, $2 for 2 months to talk about the Dogs as they run up to a possible national championship game appearance. Again, a possible national championship for the first time in 4 decades. First Orange Bowl in 60 something years. First game against Michigan in about the same amount of time. I think a little shorter, maybe 55 years. It's a great time to be on Dogpost and get insight from people like me, Matt DeBerry, Ryan Curley, and a lot of the unnamed people on the message board who shall remain nameless. And you can be one of those folks who takes advantage of what is really a great service and offer. Go ahead and do it right now. $2 for 2 months. It'll get you through all of recruiting. There's another recruiting period coming up here soon. The one thing that I think also is important is, are these guys going to eat the right way, and so forth. Everything that you do now matters a ton. I'm not going to beat a dead horse here, but the practice periods in the Charleston Southern week were not to the level that Georgia wanted. I wonder if they'll have any more of those. I don't think they're going to go backwards from here on out. They're not going to be able to if they want to achieve their goals, which are still all in front of them. That's going to be the thing to watch. How does this Georgia team prepare mentally, physically, emotionally for a team in Michigan that is going to be a lot like the style of Arkansas and Kentucky, real physical teams, not overly explosive on the outside, although Kentucky and Arkansas both had explosive receivers, at least one, I should say. So that's going to be something to watch as we move forward here. What is the mental state of the Georgia Bulldogs as they get ready for what's going to be the biggest game they've played since the national championship game in 2017, 2018, whatever you want to call it? So that's the thing we're going to be talking about on Dogpost from here on out for the rest of the year. There's another, what's my math here? 21 days? No, it's not even. It's not quite that. Something like that. I went to school in DeKalb County, so I'm not sure if I can do math real well. But there's about 3.5 weeks left before this game, a New Year's Eve game against Michigan Wolverines, a team that has had its best season now since it won the half national championship about 23, 24 years ago, a quarter century ago. So this is a big game for the Dogs. Obviously, there's a lot to be gained. What can be lost? We've seen this many times, which is a season that you don't win the national championship. But what can be gained is something that would be very new and fresh, which is a national championship, a ring, the celebration, a lot of the squashing of the stupidity that goes along with Georgia not winning it all. There's a lot of opportunity here, a lot of promise. This team can do it. They're the best team in the playoff. Whether they're going to act like it or not is up to them. And we're seeing that with the betting odds from Las Vegas. We're seeing that from the season that we've seen play out. But they're going to have to do it. And the challenge is not an easy one, starting off with the Big Ten champions and taking it from there. But the folks that I talk with, one of the notes that I wrote down was Kirby has 3 weeks to get this team ready. And that person was probably taking into account recruiting, which was this week, which means they would not get much in the way of this week. They've got to manage the award ceremonies too, as well as Christmas, and these will all be things that they need to watch. Georgia, the last time they played in the semifinal game, played on New Year's Day, and sawing away that one day. I'm not sure it makes a big difference, but it does accelerate the calendar just so slightly. You're not traveling cross country, so that's helpful. But the other thing, too, in keeping up with our friends at Ticket IQ during this entire thing, is that the tickets continue to be harder to get on the Georgia sideline. And if you're looking for tickets, they might continue to kind of taper off in terms of um, the actual cost. But I would encourage you to go to Ticket IQ. I'm going to try to put that link in below as well. It's easier said than done to get y'all's attention to go to two things. But I'm looking at this right now, and the Georgia sideline is there are a lot fewer tickets on the Georgia sideline than there are on the Michigan sideline. In fact, I don't, this is aftermarket, of course. There's only I see three sections, legitimate sections, uh, with Michigan that are full. Like there are no tickets available. There are only the whole sideline upper deck of Michigan has tickets. There are only four sections of sideline for Georgia that has tickets. The tickets on the Michigan sideline, of course, now one thing on the Michigan sideline that is happening is that Club 72, which is an extremely expensive ticket, $18,000, that's eating up a few sections of their sideline. It's not eating up their tickets, but the Georgia sideline doesn't have that to deal with on the lower deck. But that's not affecting these upper deck. Upper deck, there you just can't get the tickets for Georgia. There's only 4 sections, so you need to be really kind of want to get on this if you're going to do it. I think now even even in the corners you can't get tickets on the Georgia side, so it's not surprising to me that this ticket is a tough one. And I'm going to keep mentioning Ticket IQ in this thing because it's something to watch. I like watching the metrics of this. I like watching the metrics of the line and so forth. But right now, Georgia's 7.5 point favorite, so ticking up slightly. Not a big deal yet. I think the folks at Caesars were talking about how they would have placed it at 9. But hey, whatever. Hey, look, take advantage of this deal down below. $2 for 2 months. Dogpost.com. We'll see you on the website.